Welcome back to episode 5 of Laughs from the Past. I am your host, Jimmy, and I have Jake, who we decided you weren't a co-host. I still want to call you the co-host.
I'm the host / live audience.
There you go.
You know how the movie Get Out was popular? Because people talked about it like, oh, it's stuff you'd really do if you were in that situation. I'm that. I'm the, okay, so now this must happen, right? And then you say, no, they kill the guy. Usually death.
Well, how are you? Good?
I'm good, man. How are you? What movie did you go see? You saw a movie?
I saw Action Point.
Okay. Point Break. Nice.
No, it's a new Jackass movie because I review it on Six Pack Cinema. It's like Johnny Knoxville and Chris Pontius, and there's a bunch of stunts in it, but it's narrative, so there's a story, so it's kind of like a combination.
Thoughts? That's a tough thing to put together.
Yeah, it's not like a critically great movie, but I just am such a sucker for like Chris Pontius is hilarious to me. So there's one scene, it's not even funny, but I was giggling. I was in the theater, it was just me in the theater. Just me, which is awesome.
Spoiler, giggles.
Yeah, I giggled. I giggled really hard. I don't think anyone else would laugh at the scene at all.
Okay.
So, do you want me to tell you No, maybe you. Do you want me to tell you what it was?
No, man. I won't see it, but somebody listening might want to.
This has nothing to do with the plot of the movie.
Well.
All right. I'm giggling now thinking about it. Just love Chris Pontius. All right, we're going back in time to the days of Lincoln, Jake.
Abraham, right?
What do you know about Abraham Lincoln?
Honest guy.
Yeah, it's true.
Enjoyed plays.
Yeah, some of them.
One not so much. Tall for his time.
Yeah.
Nice hat.
He had a high squeaky voice.
Did he?
Yep, he had a real weird high-pitched voice that people thought was funny.
Okay.
Do you know that he's funny?
I mean, everyone says really good stuff about Abe Lincoln.
Yeah. So I took at Central, I took a history class, 400 level history class that was just on Abraham Lincoln.
Pretty cool.
Abraham Lincoln is cooler than you already think he is. Like he was that dude. He was kind of like a silly, aloof, really witty guy.
Do you think it's fabricated over time at all?
Well, the way history works is you take the records at the time and then try to decipher the bias which those were written at the time. So at the time, it was written as if he was very funny.
Okay.
So you have to think like, oh, were they just blowing smoke?
Right.
Because he was president, but then even before he became president. He was never even he was a senator, I think. Okay. Like he shouldn't have ran and won. I can't think about it. But anyway, we're talking about just a singular story before he was president right now.
Okay.
But Abe Lincoln's cool dude. My favorite little tidbit I remember learning was that when he was just a lawyer in Lincoln, speaking of, been to Lincoln because I did middle school in Illinois, touched the handrail of Abraham Lincoln's house, original. Boom. Wow. Yeah. So I've touched me and Abe have touched the same thing. How about that?
You basically know Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. I touched that. I got this like a whole vibe of like his entire being shook through me.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was wild.
Heavy.
It's wild. My favorite little tidbit is that he would bring his kids to work, and he wasn't a disciplinarian parent. He kind of just like let them do whatever because he could work through it. Like he could sit at his desk and work, and the kids would just be running around. And his lawyer, the partner, like quit or like freaked the fuck out because they would just go through his stuff and like throw the papers around. And Lincoln didn't care at all. He was like, "Who cares? The kids having fun." So that's the aloof side of him, I guess.
He was smoking doobies.
Probably was. Okay. Now I will give credit right away to Julia Davis, who wrote this article on Mental Floss. I knew about this story because I learned about it in class, and I was just searching for an article that I could read because then it's better than me trying to make sentences on my own. So I'm reading this one from Mental Floss. So she covered it pretty well. Are you ready?
Cool. Thanks, Julia Davis.
Yep. On September 22nd, 1842, the Mississippi River levee in Alton, Illinois, was crammed full of spectators awaiting the results of a highly anticipated duel. A smackdown between Abraham Lincoln and political rival James Shields.
James Shields, 1842, on a river in Illinois, right?
Yep. Big game James.
Big game James. No, different James Shield.
Only one man could emerge victorious. Onlookers held their breath in suspense as they spotted a boat returning from where the duel was taking place with a blood-soaked body draped over the bow.
Okay, so this is post-duel.
They're waiting.
There's a bunch of people waiting to see the result.
Yeah, that's how Julia opened her article, which is nice. So now we got a little anticipation.
Okay.
Now we go back. It all started where so many skirmishes do. The Illinois State Legislature.
Strip club. Oh.
All right, I'll skim through this part. The Lincoln was a Whig, Shields was Democratic. The two politicians had an amicable relationship and worked together to address the state's enormous debt problem. The relationship cooled, however, when Shields became the state auditor. He passed a number of controversial measures and even instituted a policy where the state stopped accepting its own paper money as payment of taxes and other debts. Does that make sense to you?
They were accepting other forms of payment for debt? Is that what you said?
Yes, but they stopped accepting its own paper money as payment of taxes and debt. So how were people paying debts if they couldn't pay with money?
Like animals or food or shit, right?
I don't know. That seems... There was like a currency in place, and this dude just said you're not allowed to use this to pay off your debt?
Apparently the currency had fallen out.
I don't know. So Lincoln expressed his disapproval in the most professional, statesman-like fashion he could think of. What do you think he did?
He took the most beautiful woman in town and planted his seed in her.
No. He trolled them in the local newspaper.
Okay.
Lincoln wrote...
Is Abe Lincoln the original troll?
Yeah, he might be. He might be the original American troll. He anonymously lampooned Shields in print. He began composing letters to a Springfield paper deriding Shields' character as well as his policies. Poking fun at Shields wasn't hard to do. He was notoriously pompous, vain, and a tad eccentric. So let me skip. So Lincoln created two fictitious characters, Jeff and Rebecca.
Okay.
Who were unable to pay their debts because the state no longer accepted paper money. So, I mean...
Yeah, we're with Abe here. It sounds like this community was taking a step backwards.
Yeah.
Like, money had been established, and they were like, no, we'd rather have goods and services.
I don't understand why you couldn't pay your debts off with money. So, yeah, he was like, Lincoln made up these fake characters and wrote in the newspaper. The letter was signed Rebecca, and it said, "Dear girls, it is distressing, but I cannot marry you all. It is not my fault that I am so handsome." It's interesting. Apparently, Rebecca, Shields said that to Rebecca once. She was like, "I can't even pay off my debt, and this guy said this to me once." Can you believe it? So Abe is just making a mockery of Shields.
Right. Abe's going in on James Shields.
In anonymous letters to the local newspaper. Now this
is a little more fun than Twitter.
Yeah, the letters soon became the talk of the town. Though Shields was generally well-liked, people got a kick out of Lincoln's hilariously spot-on satire. Shields, however, didn't get the joke, of course. Guy doesn't even understand currency.
Right.
He's not going to understand jokes.
He's too pompous.
And vain to understand jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, I skipped a part where it says that Lincoln brought the letters to his wife, Mary Todd, who ended up being the crazy lunatic, and her friend, Julia, and they contributed a few quips themselves. which is probably the smartest thing Lincoln could do because women are so mean and cutthroat. They're like, hey, can you help me make fun of this dude? And they probably were like, yeah, say he's got a small dick.
Okay.
So Shields was pissed, went to the editor and was like, tell me who Rebecca is. Tell me who Rebecca is. And the editor was like, it's Abe.
It was Abe Lincoln.
It was Abraham Lincoln. So Shields decided to settle the matter by challenging Lincoln to a duel. What a time to be alive. Like, we have paper currency in place. This dude Shields just didn't want to live in the time. He just enjoyed the barbaric lifestyle of no money and duels settle everything.
Don't hate it. I mean, what were the actual rules on Duel? Like, what if Abe Lincoln was like, no, dude, I don't want to deal with you. Then it's like, yo, Abe, you're soft, bro.
Yes, exactly. So Abe accepts the duel.
Awesome.
So I read the historical, the rules of a duel. Duels were made, the rules are made, so no one dies, actually. So the most how it would work is how you kind of know it originally. I challenge you to a duel.
Sure.
Other person accepts.
I accept.
You accept. You get to choose the weapon, and you get to make all the circumstances basically as accepting.
Oh, so if you accept the duel, you get to set the terms.
Yes.
So one guy hates another guy or lady. Were there lady duels?
I doubt it.
So people totally did joke duels, right?
Abraham Lincoln about to show you.
You challenge me to a duel. I say, yeah. I say, okay, let's do duel. We each get to hold a chicken.
First one to let go of the chicken loses the duel.
Okay, I like that. Like duels now.
I didn't even think of the chicken route.
Right.
I'm so upset that I didn't. I was thinking okay, I choose tree branches as the weapon.
Yeah.
We'll just
still fun.
Stand 10 feet away. 1, 2, 3, duel. You throw a branch at me. I throw a branch at you. We'll see how it lands.
Yeah.
So
hopefully I hit you better with my branch.
Yeah. But just duels in general, they were so set up that someone wouldn't die because you weren't allowed to use rifles. Rifles have spiral on the inside of the barrel, which makes the bullet spin like a football and go accurately. And pistols were smooth in the inside, so they just went wherever the fuck they could at the time.
Right.
So you would also have to quick draw, and you only had 3 seconds to shoot, and you couldn't start aiming. Like, it was considered rude to aim in a duel.
Right.
So you had to watch the handkerchief drop or something of that so your eyes would start off. Like your eyes had to start off the person you're shooting at.
So if you killed someone in a duel, were you like a bad guy?
No.
Because that's not how it's depicted.
No, you wouldn't go to jail or anything. It was, and these are it was the higher class dueled, not like the low level. Like, we're talking about state senators here, legislature.
There were definitely some duels where they were like, hey, let's not kill each other, but guys killed each other, right?
Yeah. So there's also a lot of times where the second, so the person who set the terms, they would call that the second. The first person says, I want a duel. Second person says, okay, these are the terms. There's a lot of instances where they packed the bullets with so much powder and not a lot of metal or whatever that right. they would get hit and not die. There's a couple accounts where the bullet didn't even pierce through the skin, which is hilarious. They're just loading blanks.
That's fun.
It's kind of fun because if you got challenged to a duel and you said no, you were like a pussy.
Right, because in theory I could say, oh, let's have a duel. We each get an apple.
That happened in high school. AJ and my cousin AJ and my friend David threw apples at each other. Apples fucking hurt.
Yeah, man. That's my dream business idea. I've ran that past you.
Oh, yeah, that is your dream business idea. So, Okay, for everyone listening, Jake wants, you know how if you go to a boardwalk and sometimes they have setups where, hey, shoot a goon, and you get a paintball gun and there's someone with pads on that runs around and you get to shoot at him? They have that at the Jersey Shore boardwalk. Jake wants to do that, but he's the goon and the contestants just get to throw apples at him.
Yeah. It's like, $5 you get to throw one apple, $10 you get to throw 3.
And you just want to be dipping and dodging apples.
Oh.
What happened?
I mean, there'd be some contact.
You bruise so easily if you got hit.
So do apples.
Would you be trying to block them? Like, would you have any protection?
I'd wear like a cup and maybe like I'd probably wear like kind of the outfit I'm wearing right now.
We should put on like a leatherhead football helmet.
Yeah, you put on a little head protection. It's kind of scary, man. If someone like strong gets in there and is throwing apples at you,
Luis Severino comes, throws a 100-mile-per-hour apple at you.
Yeah,
I think you
hurts.
I think there's big injury risk there.
I think the apple explodes, though. I don't know. Nobody steal that business idea. I'll come at you.
Apple duel is pretty fun. I think holding a chicken duel is better. Holding a chicken duel kind of reminds me when we did House Olympics in college, and our friend Nick idea was you had to lube yourself up and carry a watermelon while running, and if you dropped the watermelon you lost.
Times were different.
Watermelon was lubed, you were lubed, and you had to carry a watermelon and run like 100 yards.
In both occasions, times were different.
What duel would you...
Also, like, little kids must have done snowball duels all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think to this day, little kids do snowball duels. It's called snowball fight.
We're a traditional duel, man. Take the steps and count down in the kerchief and all that.
I don't think the steps were ever real.
Really?
According to the what I read, no.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not going to say they never happened, but they were not predominant figure in dueling. It was mostly...
Maybe that's more of a Wild West thing. That's usually where that's depicted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Back to the story.
All right, let's go into how Abe chose his duel. It's pretty good, so I'll just read it. As the one who'd been challenged, Lincoln got to select the conditions of the duel. He had a grand old time conjuring up the most ridiculous set of circumstances possible. To begin with, he named the cavalry broadsword as the weapon of choice.
Sure.
Abe's quote, "I didn't want the fella to kill me, which I think he would have done if we selected pistols," he later explained. Just, take us, like, you went chickens. I went tree branches. Abe Lincoln went swords. I guess he didn't want to be a complete mockery.
Right.
Next, Lincoln decided that the duel should be held on an island across the Mississippi because dueling was illegal in Illinois.
Fair. Makes sense.
He also stipulated that the two men face off in the bottom of a 12-foot deep pit divided by a wooden plank that neither man was allowed to cross.
Mississippi and Illinois touch?
Yes.
I gotta see a map.
Well, no. Well, no, it's across the Mississippi River.
Across the Mississippi River, okay. Makes more sense.
But they do... Is that Missouri that's right below? Yeah, Missouri's right below. Yeah, Mississippi doesn't touch. You're right.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So did you hear the terms? Like, they're having a sword duel, which means they, like, fight, I guess. I don't know how... It's not like one shot.
Right.
I don't know. So they're
in a ditch.
I don't understand the ditch part, really. Just
fun.
It's fun, I guess.
Maybe it was pre-dug. That's like a good duel spot.
And Lincoln says... I'm going to draw a line in the middle. We aren't allowed to cross the line.
Okay, I like it.
These conditions gave the 6'4" Lincoln a serious advantage over the 5'9" James Shields. So
nice.
That's a little like Lincoln's just playing into arm reach there.
Yeah, smart. That's what I'm saying. This is a boxing match with swords in an octagon.
Yeah. So Lincoln was positive Shields would back down, but not the case. On September 22nd, 1842, Shields arrived at the duel site near the city of Alton, ready to face any challenger who might be foolish enough to face him. While the two men were gearing up to face off, one spectator noted how grave and serious Lincoln looked. I'd never seen him look so long before making a joke. So there's a lot of lines like that about Lincoln in history. Like, at all times, levity was like big part of his personality.
Sure.
Which is awesome. But all of a sudden, Lincoln reached up and casually sliced off a branch with his sword in an effort to scare Shields into submission. Like, sure. Look at how good my reach is and how strong my broadsword is.
Right. Abe's trying to show this guy, like, I appreciate your anger for me, but you don't want to do this. Yeah. It's a classic tall move. That's intimidation. Yeah.
So are you backing down yet if you're Shields? You've been ridiculed by Lincoln the Troll and his wife and her friends in the paper. Talk of the town is how much of a fool you are. And now Lincoln is basically making the whole crowd laugh at you more, intimidating you.
No, absolutely. I'm taking him to the island.
Okay.
I don't care if he chops off my arm. I'm getting a cut on him. Like, you prick.
Okay. But his opponent's impressive display of arm span still didn't deter the scrappy Shields. On his way to the duel, Lincoln reportedly told the story of a soldier whose fiancée stitched the words, "victory or death," on his belt before battle. Lincoln said to her, "Ain't that rather too strong? Suppose you should put victory or be crippled."
Okay.
Because he didn't choose pistols, Jake.
Right.
All right, so Shields shows up. He's like, "Nah, dude, I'm not intimidated. Not intimidated in the least. You fucking trolled me in the newspaper, and I'm mad about it." Both his opponents' impressive display of arm... the duel was about to commence when a few mutual friends arrived and intervened. Colonel John Hay Hardin helped...
At the island?
At the island.
Okay, so we're at the island.
Colonel...
Did they take 2 separate boats?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
And
I don't know that.
So I've got this, like... know the excitement that happens when there's, like, a Mayweather fight, like Mayweather-McGregor or Mayweather-Pacquiao, and, like... Just there's like a buzz in like the town or the city or anywhere you go.
Go back down to high school when like Pat Hapkin would have Fight Club on his a kid in our high school would host a Fight Club after school on his backyard lawn, and there was like 200 kids that walked because you could walk to his house from school and just watched. I don't know who those 2 kids were that fought that one time, but
they don't need to be named.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I'm picturing a lot of excitement and like 2 boats heading to an island. Each has like their hype man, the fighter, just kind of their squad. That's a blast.
Yeah.
Dude, September 22nd, 1842 was hype in bumfuck Illinois.
Yeah. So Colonel John J. Hardin helped the 2 reach a face-saving compromise. Working it out with words instead of swords, Lincoln offered up a mea culpa and admitted that he'd authored the letters. So you disappointed they didn't fight?
Not necessarily. I think there's still good lessons there.
Cool heads arised.
So Abe, all he had to do was admit he did it?
Yeah.
He's honest Abe.
He's honest Abe, yeah.
What the hell?
So, other reports think Mary Todd did a lot of it and he was covering for her. Okay. But either way, it's perfect because Lincoln threw down all these hilarious challenges of intimidation, and James Shields got to kind of, no, I'm not this little bitch that you say I am. I'll fight you. And then a friend in the middle like gets to step out, and now this friend gets to be the hero. Like, guys, come on. And neither of them.
Both parties are kind of happy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's some more good stuff though. Everyone standing on the levee was relieved to learn that the body on the boat from the island was really just a log and a red shirt, a simple prank from the people on the island.
I mean, that's a classic. It's an all-timer.
When the boat reached land, Lincoln and Shields stepped off together, chummily chatting away. Upon viewing spectators' horrified reactions, they broke into fits of laughter at how absurd the whole situation had been. That's the best part of this story, because when you're like so mad at someone, and then you have that moment, it's a movie moment, they do it all the time, where you're just like, wait, what's going on? And then you get to laugh. It's the end of Pineapple Express when they're sitting at the diner. Like, man, that was crazy. I almost killed you.
It's the Harry and Mary Swanson snowball fight in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. So they buried the hatchet or broadsword and remained friends from then on. But Lincoln was not proud of this duel, and Lincoln wasn't proud that he'd almost dueled against a political opponent. In fact, he was embarrassed. When an officer asked him about the event years later, he replied, "I do not deny it, but if you desire my friendship, you will never mention it again."
Wow. So really not happy with that story.
I mean, if you want to be like the president, that's not the best story. Like, oh yeah, I was trolling him in the newspaper with my wife and her friend, and then I challenged him to a really silly duel, and then we didn't end up dueling. Like, okay, you're president?
I mean, he's technically the loser in this, because he is number 2 that accepted the duel, and then you come to like a treaty before it? I don't know.
No, I think you're right, actually. I think he does. If it's not Abe Lincoln, we know nothing else about these 2 men, you'd say, okay, well, Abe Lincoln got.
Right.
James Shields, Big Game James, came out swinging.
Is that the end of the tale?
It's the end of the tale. The dude went on to be a general in the army for Lincoln during the Civil War. So there were.
Do you think it was one of those, like, we know Lincoln felt bad about this? Do we think it was, like, how do you say it? Like Lincoln just kept kind of bringing him up with him because Lincoln felt bad about that whole thing?
Maybe. You think he got?
Yeah.
You think he got like Shields got shit? Like, oh, dude, you're only getting promoted because Lincoln almost killed you.
Yeah, either like that. Yeah, that's what I. Yeah, Shields probably gets crap, and Shields is probably holding over Lincoln's head. Like, well, I could tell everyone that you gossiped about me in the newspaper, and then you back down from a duel
with your crazy wife.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we movie-fying this?
You want to move?
What would you touch up?
Dude, it's pretty good for a movie already.
Yeah, it's kind of most of it's written.
I mean, the ending kind of sucks.
It is a lackluster ending.
You'd have to be like they became best friends after it. You'd have to, if you were writing this into a movie at the end, you'd have to change it that they became like best friends. They won the Civil War like together. You know what I mean? Like Lincoln was the general commander, and this was his number one guy, and through this bond, through this situation, forged a bond. You'd have to really play up that to give it a good ending.
I think. How about this? Let's go even. Okay. Now my movie brain's on. So yeah, they're besties. They ride it all the way to the top, president and vice president.
Yep.
And then the vice president guy, Big Game James, the whole time he still hated Abe Lincoln. He never really got over it. He was doing a fake friendship. He pays John Wilkes Booth to kill him so he could be president.
Wow. Lincoln lays dead on the theater. Big Game James stands, says, "How does that feel, Rebecca?"
Yeah, or not, because he wants to be president.
But in his head, he thought that.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Lincoln's dying, and it's like his last breaths, and Lincoln's like, "Oh, I'm with my best friend."
And he whispers.
He whispers like, "You have the tiny dick," or whatever he put in the newspaper.
Yeah. This is for Jeff and Rebecca.
Yeah.
Wow. I think we just wrote like a pretty anti-Lincoln movie.
Yeah. Pretty popular figure. Sorry, we were always more Shields guys.
He's, you got to stay with the short people, us.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so the town aspect I'd like to circle back on, because I mentioned that it's an electric day, September 22nd. The town's going nuts. People are placing bets with money that doesn't matter anymore.
So a lot of people are like, why? Why are they doing? And like, well, did you read the newspaper? Yeah, what? Those letters about Shields? Yeah, so did Lincoln know Rebecca and Jeff? Lincoln is Rebecca and Jeff. Oh, whoa. My God.
People are taking sides. They say, I never liked Shields, blah, blah, blah. Then they both come back and they're chummy.
Pissed off.
Does the town either have like a giant party and everyone's okay with it? I don't think so. I think a lot of people are mad.
I think they're a little perturbed.
The town turns on them, kills them both.
Yeah. This is duel or don't duel or die.
Turns out the Tooth Fairy was living in the woods the whole time.
Oh my God.
Bad movie.
So
I think that's
it. That wraps that one up. I mean, that's a cool story. There's nothing.
It's a cool story.
The story in itself is very good. We didn't need to even wrap it, or gift wrap it, or put any frills on it.
I mean, the biggest thing I'm taking away is you've changed duels forever for me. Duels sound like a really bad time. Like, well, one of us is going to die here today. Now, like, I would have been the best prank dueler around.
I will give you a lot of credit, Jake. The chicken duel is hilarious. Yeah. Duel. Okay, I accept. We both have to hold a chicken.
The weapon of choice?
Chicken.
Or, dude, even an egg.
An egg's pretty.
You each get one throw with an egg. If one of you comes back egg-soaked and the other isn't, oh, my God.
It's pretty embarrassing. What if
peacocking around town?
Both take egg to the face at the same time?
Best friends.
Dude, that's friends. That's friends for life. Like Oh,
Friends,
can't fight this. Like, I seriously hate you, but we both egged each other in the face at the same time, so.
Yeah, we both just get egged in the face. All right.
All right, so that's the end of this episode of Laughs from the Past. Abraham Lincoln, Duel. Next episode, we're going past the Civil War times and into World War II. So get excited.
Ooh.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, rate, review. This is a brand new podcast, so we don't have any ratings. So if you're listening and enjoying, please rate it.
Give a couple.
Thanks. Bye.